everyone. Well, I just could not stream this weekend because woke up this morning feeling a little bit motivated, feeling like yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how to do it from start to finish. I'm not going to demo the whole thing on a live server. Again, I don't. It's hard to do that without exposing different kinds of stuff, and I want to make this as clean as possible. So I do have a console that I can show you, run through the commands. So I'm going to do that. Of course, take questions and all that stuff. So if you're stuck, this is the time to ask questions. I can help. I'll try to help you if I can. But yeah, this morning, let's do it. I was going to wait till next week to do the security one. I'm still going to do that as far as I know, unless I move it around. It'll be Wednesday. But this morning, it's been about 30, 40 minutes just going through the whole process just to make sure everyone understands how this stuff works, how to set up a validator, and all that good stuff. So good morning, Ted Nelson. Welcome. Love that name. Love that name. Love the avatar as well. TDS Lane. What's happened, TDS Lane? You know what? You have been producing some good stuff as well. So let me know if you ever want to come on and talk. But I'm going to drop your link in the chat as well. That's another tutorial on doing the validator stuff. And let me share my screen. Good morning from Portugal, by the way. Good morning. Bring Blue Bomb back on. Is he doing a validator? I mean, if you're saying in general, bring him back on, then yeah. I think I'm feeling a Hedron stream at some point. But if he's doing validator stuff, especially, that would be relevant. But yeah, tag us on Twitter. Remind him to ping me as well. I keep forgetting, but yeah, he's a great guest to have on. Anyways, TDS Lane. Let me share my screen. So if you go down to the community links, I should probably put a table of contents in here for nobody else but myself. I think I would use it, but community guides, TDS Lane right here. And yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, TDS Lane, or tell me if I'm saying your name correctly as well. TDS Lane. Yeah, I'm going to say it like that for now. TD Lane, maybe. You are using Docker. One of the biggest differences, I know a lot of people are using Docker. I believe you're using Docker to do, man, that's some cool ASCII art too. Respect. I like that. I love ASCII art. I believe, let's see, Docker. Yeah. So using Docker and you're using Geth and, oh, you have different, oh, you have all the commands. Very cool. Yeah, so I assume you can pick your client with the setup and stuff on this one too. Very cool. I like this. So the Geth command, Aragon, Prism, and Lighthouse. Very cool, man. Yeah, shout out to you, man. Very cool stuff. Lots of good content and lots of guides and stuff on here too. Cool. I feel like we have 3 or 4 different people who are just, some of them using the same stuff, some of them going different directions, and lots of good options for people to use. Different guides and different guides and different clients and ways of doing it. Like I said, Docker versus just running on the system. I don't know. Like I said, I know Docker. I've used Docker a lot before, and one day maybe I'll Dockerize this. I don't know. TDS Lane, can you give me some advantage? If you want to, feel free to correspond in the chat. Some advantages, disadvantages. I think it's, I like the compartmentalization. I like the isolation features and stuff. At the same time, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of different deployment options. I like mouse scripts because I can literally just, let's see, let me go to the update client script. I don't know. There's something about just a / script where you just give it the options. And yeah, I am optimizing on 2 clients. I'm not supporting all the clients, but yeah, I don't know, something about it. It's just maybe I think everyone has their style. Everyone has their unique style. I just like / do all the stuff for me. I don't even want options really. Like I don't know. Maybe that's the angle I'm going for. It just feels good. It feels good to do it. So again, everyone's great work on your archive. Great work. I mean, one of the best ones I've seen, truly. So good stuff on that. But for this stream, let's see. What's the question here? What are you doing to protect your wares from any harmful attacks? I like the wares comment. Got it. You're missing the Z though. WAR is EZ is the I guess old school way of saying it. Harmful attacks to use validator. I'll be covering a lot of security stuff next week in the stream. However, it's good to start from a fundamental level and understand what, for example, what can they steal if they hack your validator server? Well, they can steal the signing keys, which at most they can get you slashed and make you a bad participant on the network and stuff. They cannot steal your seed words. From all the research I've done, and they're not, as long as you don't put them on the server, obviously. So don't put your seed words on the server. Don't generate them on there. Don't put them in a file on there. Obviously, you need your validator keys on there to import into Lighthouse, but your seed words are essentially your money, your withdrawal key, right? When you go to do withdrawals, which I need to practice well. I haven't done withdrawals yet. I know they're allowed in PulseChain. Very cool. I need to practice that as well. But I've been kind of in the mix, looking at a lot of other stuff. So I'll be talking about more of that next week, but you just, I mean, there's a bunch of local security stuff that actually the script goes through, using a different user that doesn't have admin access, such as on AWS, you have Ubuntu user by default, which has sudo access, passwordless, which means you can go to root passwordless, which you probably don't want to run programs like that, because if the client gets exploited, they assume the privilege of the user that it's running as. And if they get a admin user or a root user, that means game over for your system. But if they only get a node user, which has limited permissions, then they have to do another exploit or something to get to the next user. It's just a limiting blast radius. Limiting blast radiuses. That's a technical term for it too. So we'll talk more about that next week, though. I got a lot of stuff to cover. What's up, Cryptic Compassion? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Welcome. So let's go through how all this stuff works. And I will show you. So let's first go to, so this is my shell here. This is just some virtual server, probably running in a container somewhere in the cloud, not a real one, but it allows me to do some stuff. So I want to show you the first thing you do when you're setting up your validator server, if you're using these scripts, is you clone the repo. So on the server, you can clone the repo. Pretend this is your server right now. Git clone the Git URL, which I copied from. You go code, copy this URL, and then enter. So what that did is it copied down all the files in this repo. So if I do ls, I can see there's a new folder called PulseChain Validator. I go into that folder, change directory. I look in that folder. I see there's a bunch of different scripts, and these are the different ones that help you do various stuff on your validator. So by default, they are read-only. So if I do la-ls, that'll tell me the permissions of each one. So we see the scripts are read. Basically, everything in the repo is read-only. So to make the scripts executable, I'm going to do change mode plus executable star, which means everything that ends in .sh, every script. And now, if I look at them again, I'll just look at one, for example, but we know they're all updated. We'll do the PulseChain Validator script, the main script. We can see is now executable, and now we can run it. So I'm not going to run it. Let's see. I'll just run it like this to show you the options. So let's jump over to just show you how this works. Yeah, I should probably put this check farther down. I'm always looking for all the code after the config, but funny enough, I did it here, which is fine. So this checks for 2 arguments. It just requires your Ethereum address and the IP address of your server. So those are the only 2 things it needs in order to start the script. So that's why when you see this, it says requires Ethereum address, and this is your fee address. This is where you want the fees to go for validating. And this is your server's IP address, so the nodes could talk to each other. So if you didn't type that, that's why it says read the script notes to try again. Here you would just type like, a null address. Let's just use this for now, this is not going to work, obviously. And then your server IP address, whatever that is, 1234. That's what you would type in. I'm going to type it in here. I don't think it's going to work because, again, this is not a real server. This is just a test server. But let's just see. Let's see how far it gets. So when you first type it, it'll say, okay, here's the validator setup. Again, this is a helper script. There's a couple of things that need to be done afterwards, but this does most of the setup for you. It takes around 30 minutes to complete, which just means it's installing the packages. It's downloading the Rust and Go and all the dependencies and all that, building them. That just takes some time, and it could be 30 minutes, it could be an hour, it could be 20 minutes, depending on your bandwidth and your particular server specs. So if you can hit Control-C to cancel or enter to continue. We're going to roll the dice. Enter. Yeah, so this is the first thing it does. It's actually starting to install Rust, which is cool. So again, ignore any errors you see, ignore them, because this is not a real server. I'm surprised it's doing anything at all right now, but I just want to kind of show you what it's doing. So on a real server, all this stuff would be fine. If you're using Ubuntu 22.04, all the stuff that I've been testing it on. So if we go back to the code, yeah, so this was just doing, that's why he says sudo. It's doing the update, installing the packages, installing Go. And then now it's installing Rust. And once it gets done installing Rust, it'll try to install the node user, which again is good for isolation. It'll generate the client secret stuff. It will go get Aragon, fix all that stuff up for you. It'll create sorry, I said Aragon. Oh, good typo. It is Geth. Sorry, I got to change that. It is not Aragon, it's Geth. So that's just a comment typo right there. I'll have to change that. And it will set up Geth for you, which is their fork called Go Pulse. It'll do a service account, and then it will start the services, start installing the Lighthouse, do a whole bunch of like little magic stuff here to make sure everything works. And then it will start most everything. It'll open up some stuff on the firewall. That's something I'll add to the wiki too. Somebody opened an issue about recently, but about network ports and stuff, I'll add that as well. And then it tells you exactly afterwards, after this script finishes running, everything's successful. Afterwards, you need to generate your validator keys with the deposit tool on a secure different machine. We talked about this a lot before in a lot of other AMAs, but that's the only thing you need to do after running this script is generate your keys and then get your keys onto the server, not your seed words, only your keys. Your seed words you keep very private, your piece of paper, metal, whatever, protect it, because that is your money. That is how you withdraw later on. But your validator keys are what you're going to import into Lighthouse, because it uses that to participate in the network. So you get those over to your server, you import them, and then you start the validator client. So in the meantime, your beacon chain on the Lighthouse. So there's two processes with the Lighthouse. There's the beacon chain and the validator client. So at this point, we've already started. So we didn't start, see it's commented out, we didn't start the validator client. We only enabled it and configured it. However, we started the beacon client because we want those to start syncing, because you need to let them sync before you make your deposit. Otherwise, if you get activated on the network and you're not synced yet, then you're not participating. You're missing activity, you're missing blocks and participation. So you could get penalized. So make sure you start syncing first. Same thing with Geth. We start it with, let them start working, start getting the juices flowing, So again, wait till your clients are synced, then make your deposit at the launchpad. Again, if you follow these instructions, everything is very straightforward. I know there's a lot of technical details, but that's why people are writing scripts, because instead of you typing every single command in individually, you can just / run the script. And again, ignore the errors. This is a virtual demo thing. After everything's done, it's all good. Then it'll tell you what to do next, exactly what to do next. And if something goes wrong, it tells you how to check and see what went wrong. So very cool stuff there. Again, these are the scripts. that is the Premier script. That is the PulseChain Validator setup. That's the first script you should start with in the repo. I would not run any other scripts in the repo until you start with this one, because this is the foundation for your validator server. So with that, I'll talk about the other scripts as well. So we have, let me list them again just so we can see them right here. We have the EC2 helper, which is just something that, I mean, it's not really, you don't have to run on EC2 even. You can run on any server. Should probably rename it at some point to just like server helper, I guess. But this will just set your host name. It can be anything you want. You just change it right there. It will quieten down the message of the day stuff. I just don't prefer to see that when I SSH in. And it will upgrade your box and get you ready to go. So I run this script. So if I'm launching stuff on AWS EC2, this is the first script I run. Yeah, I said PulseChain Validator setup is the first script you should run, but technically I would run this script first to get everything updated, reboot, let it run with a new kernel, whatever it did, and set my host name and all that just to get my box into a good state. And after that, the PulseChain Validator setup. This is the main script. This does all the heavy lifting, get your client set up, and get you to the next step you need to do. Now, before I go through the other scripts, what is the next step you need to do? Let's go through that. So the next step you need to do, and I'll open this too. I have like very detailed information on this. After running the script, again, this does about 85% estimated, gets all your stuff going, except the validator keys. Again, what we just talked about. On a different machine, you follow these instructions exactly, and then follow the instructions from the deposit tool, and you'll generate your keys. Then you copy them over to the validator one way or another. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. One way is to copy them over the network. One way is to use a USB stick if you're running your own box beside you and it's not in the cloud. Another is this base64 encoding trick, which I talk about here. All this stuff. So generate them on a different machine, and that could be a disposable virtual machine. If you're in the cloud, you can easily spin up a free tier instance to do that on testnet. Maybe you want to be a little more secure on mainnet, whatever for testnet. You can just use something where you can trust it. Ideally, it's not connected to the internet or has very limited access. Just what you need to do. It could be a live CD, some kind of temporary file system, ephemeral file system that you can trust to generate these keys on, not your validator server. And again, I have more detailed instructions on this. Exactly, typing all the stuff. This is for 3.3, obviously updated to v4, and then references as well. So again, next step is to generate your validator keys and then get them on your server. And once you get them on your server, again, you want to copy them over to your node folder. This, again, all the instructions, exactly what you need to do. Minimal typing, minimal manual typing. Yes, that makes sense. I tried to automate every part of this process. I didn't write a script for this because it's like, hey, it's like 4 commands. A lot of times, you don't need to automate every single thing, but like try to automate as much as possible. And then copy them over to the folder, make sure the permissions are right. Open a shell as your node user, use the Lighthouse client to import them to the directory where you put them. It should be in the home folder. This is a shortcut for home. Type in your password, exit back to your regular user, and then you can start your client. Yeah, afterwards, then you start your client. It's just what we talked about. Let's see. Yeah, the last set of instructions. After you import them, then start your validator client with this command and wait till you're synced and then make a deposit. So after you are synced, I'll get to questions in just a minute. I know there's some questions there. I just want to finish on explaining this stuff. So once your clients are synced, then you go over to the Launchpad. You go over to this Launchpad and you make your deposit. You click deposit, click continue. I've read all this stuff 50 times, but you should read it if it's your first time, especially read it, understand it, understand what slashing is, penalties, understand key management, all the checklist stuff. Really good documentation here that we forked from Ethereum. And then you choose your client. So in this case, it would be Go Pulse. This kind of tells you some minimal information about how to install it. And then we say we're going to use Lighthouse, which is built on Rust. Again, gives you a little bit of information what to do. And then you type in number of validators. So it could be 1, it could be 5, could be 10, could be 100, whatever it is. If it's 1, let's say that is what your deposit needs to be. So then you would say, oh, you withdraw it. Nice. Okay. So I'm glad they added this. I'm glad they updated it to do this. So now you can type in your withdrawal address. And if you didn't do that before, you can do it afterwards, I'm sure. But now you type in your withdrawal address here. And then, yeah, you may choose withdrawal address, your initial deposit, automatically enable reward payments. So anytime, cool. So this is kind of automate stuff like that. And then your operating system, Linux. And then this just tells you what you need to do now. So part of your validator keys, there are a few different JSON files within that. Actually, let me see. Well, we don't need to go. We'll have to go through here, but there's a few different JSON. There's your deposit JSON file, and then there's your validator keys. So what it's looking for now, off your server, off of your wherever you generated it, into the computer that you're going to be uploading it. So now you're on this computer. Upload the one that says deposit, your deposit one. That has the public keys and information for your validator keys in order to tell. So you're going to connect with a contract, you're going to make your deposit, and it's going to make a deposit for each of the validators that you have generated keys for. So that's what this has in it. It just has information about your validators. So you upload that here, and after you upload it, hit continue, and then afterwards, it'll ask you to make a deposit for each one. You go through MetaMask, you spin gas, you make the deposit, and then after that, your validator will be in a pending state. And that means it's trying to get activated. It can take about 16, 24, 36 hours, something like that to get activated. Once it is activated, again, once you've made the deposits, it's all activated, then we can, then you're good. Yeah, so you start the validator client. At that point, it should say like awaiting activation. Once everything is synced, we make the deposit at the launch pad. And then once it's activated, your validator is good to go. So once we have that, again, I'll get to questions in just a second. Okay, so once everything is activated, I'll get to questions just 1 second. I wanted to show you the rest of the scripts. So this is the reset validator. So again, this makes it easy for me to reset things, and something goes wrong. I know people have been working with people setting up their validator. If you just want to blow it all away and start over, then you can use the reset script. So all you do, if you want to use it just for your own protection, change this from false to true. It says I know what I'm doing. If you don't do that, it will, I'll show you. Let's see, reset. Reset validator. Oh. Reset everything? All right. Sorry, let me, this thing just reset everything. So let me clone it again. Okay, never mind. It didn't do that. So let's do the reset script. So if you don't flip that to true, it will give you this message. So again, this is just your protection. I didn't want to create something that is, I mean, it's destructive in the way that it blows away all of your validator stuff. So I want to make sure you know what you're doing. You read the script, you see, hey, it stops the services, it removes the services, and it deletes your node user, it deletes the home directory, and it deletes all the blockchain sync data. So make sure you're okay with that, you understand that. Are you okay resetting and deleting all the client data on the validator? So if you are, change that to true, you're good to go. And this will wipe everything away and you can run the script again. So do not run the setup script over and over and over. I do not recommend you do that because it could lead into some problems. It could, you could just keep making things like adding more stuff to the system that doesn't need. It could get confused. You may see errors. It may work, but it's better if you're going to run the script again to run the setup script. And then if you say, it's not working for some reason, I want to try again, then run the reset script and that'll reset everything. So that's the reset script. And then let's look at the monitoring script real quick. This will set up Grafana and Prometheus for you. So, and then all you got to do afterwards is import some dashboards. There's some pretty cool dashboards out there that I've seen. Actually should update this to include one of the new forked ones from someone who fixed one of the ones that was for ETH, and now it's working for PulseChain. But essentially, it will just update your clients to do metrics, and it will back up your services stuff. So this is a reversible process. There's also a reset script for the validators or for the monitoring stuff. And then there is you generate the config for Prometheus. A lot of stuff is basically automated from these steps. So a lot of it's just like taken from this guide and automated in that fashion. And then after that, you follow the instructions of how to access it. There's a secure way to do it. There's other ways of doing it. I talk about the secure way, which is using SSH to tunnel it over there. So only you can access it, not everyone on the internet. That's what I prefer. So that's the monitoring. Reset monitoring. So all this does is uninstall the packages. So uninstals Grafana and Prometheus. It removes the artifacts they created, and it restores your original PulseChain service files back there. It restarts everything. So easy to reverse this stuff. Once you start getting a system you want to try again, try the reset scripts first before you just keep clicking. And then recently, I was like, how do you update the clients? I know this is probably a little tricky. So I had to update client scripts. So all it does is pull from the official repos. It will go into it'll stop the clients. It will update the git config to make sure all that stuff works. It'll fix some permission stuff here. It'll pull the updates and rebuild the clients. And then it will start the clients again. So there's no reset script for update clients. That'll be a little bit more complex, and not sure why you want to do it in the first place unless there's some kind of error with the updates. And if that's the case, we have bigger problems to solve. They'll probably, even issue another update to fix all that. So a little bit of thought went into that too, but there's not, the only script that doesn't have a reset is update clients. So make sure you want to update your clients, but there's a little bit tricky to do that for people. So, a lot of these I'm using myself as a validator. That's why I like writing these scripts too. I want to help everyone else understand how to do it, but I'm going to be using these scripts myself to quickly and efficiently, do stuff with validators. The only other one I will go over is the RPC. So that's another one I committed recently. So you can use your own validator as an RPC in MetaMask. So, use your own node, right? Run your own node, do your own transactions with your node, participate in the network. This only works for Firefox. Because again, I try to make it as secure as possible. And the only way I know how to release this and make it so there's no security holes in your particular thing without spending a whole bunch of time to support a whole bunch of different browsers and stuff is limiting it to the Firefox MetaMask plugin. That's what this does. So if you have MetaMask and Firefox and you're running a validator, then these are instructions, and there's more instructions on the README of how to set it up. and different nuance around RPC as well. So that's pretty cool. And I went through that recently. So those are the scripts. Hope you understand, how to use them. So again, you would use, if you're wanting to set up, take advantage of some of the features that this script does. I run this before on like a clean operating system before I do the validator, before I run the setup for the clients. I run this on the validator first, and then I run PulseChain Validator Setup, which does all the setup for you. You just give it these 2 arguments or parameters, and it does setup for you. If you want to reset it, you can use Reset Validator. Then I would install monitoring. Again, don't install monitoring before the PulseChain setup because it relies on your clients already being set up, because it actually modifies, it backs up your previous client setup. It modifies different flags. It adds these in there. So you need to run the setup script first before you add monitoring, in that order. And then if you want to reset monitoring, you use the script to blow everything away. And then after that, if you want to set up RPC, you can. If you want to update your clients, you can run that anytime after you set up your run the validator setup script. You don't have to have monitoring installed to update the clients, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole process. So at that point, this is a screenshot of V3 when everything was working on that, and how much memory is using, all that stuff at that point. When mainnet goes live as well, I'll be updating the scripts, making sure everything works on mainnet, of course. But until then, yeah, at that point, you should have a working validator. It should go into, again, maybe within 24 hours, 36 hours or so. It should give you an activated state, and you're off to the races. Validators go burr, burr, burr. All right. Give me 1 second. I will get to questions. And yeah, we'll do about 10 minutes of questions and we'll wrap up. It's the last of my coffee. So let's get to it. I'm scrolling up. Go to the first questions first. Godfather J6. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. What's up, Astro 369? I love me some 369. The Crypto Wonder Podcast. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Astro. Appreciate that. That is the best 30 minutes blaze through, start to finish of a validator I could do, the quickest one. Let's see. Rebel in Black. What are the other upgrades needed before mainnet? Will we get limit orders? Well, I did a tweet on this recently. Let me come back to it. Let me do the validator questions first, and I'll come back to that. Rebel Black. Good question, though. Claudio. Sorry, to get to line 265. Copy the keys over to the node user step by step. So, yeah, so the node, see, I don't have it. Can I do that? Well, let me do it. Let's see. Yeah, read only on the home. Interesting. Okay, so let me just show you in the code then. So hopefully this makes sense. I know people ask about the node user, but it's really simple, but I think I just need to understand or explain it better. So when you use the script, it creates a user called node. You can change it. It can be amazing user. It can be 369 if you want. It could be anything you want. I just call it node. So if we're calling it node and the script is creating a node user, when a user gets created on Linux, you can create a home folder. So that's what I was trying to look at here, home node. So if this is a real validator, this would exist. And this would be the home folder, for example, where you put your validator keys in order to import them for that user. So I'll show you here when it gets added. So user add, again, doesn't need a shell for login. It does need a home folder. So home folder, home node. So this is the user that gets added to your system, and that is the user that the clients run as. So if we go down here, this is a guest service. It runs as the node user. It runs as, and again, node is just the name of the user. It can run as anything you want. But that is the user that it runs as. And again, you can change it if you want, but that's home node. So hope that explains, hope you understand what it means when I say that. So if we go to the guide, after running the script, you run this as the node user. So on EC2, if you're using the cloud, if you're using EC2, your default user is Ubuntu. That is who has admin access. That's who you can use root. You can do all that stuff. But with the script, we create another user called node. And that is what all the clients run as. That is how you import the validator keys. That is who you need to be in order to import the keys, because that is the user running the clients. So the user running the clients needs to import the keys so the client gets it from that. So when they run, they understand what to do because you've imported them with that particular user. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Let me know if not. But it asked me for a password. I don't understand. The node user asked you for a password? Because did you, so that's what when not you in particular, but when people ask me these questions about asking for a password, did you run the script? Because if you run the script, there is no password for the node user. So if you run the script, there's no password for the node user. And as your other admin user, such as Ubuntu, if you use the sudo command, you can get a shell as a node user. So there is no password for the node user because there is no login for the node user. It is just a user that is running the services. And you can, this is not logging in. This is just running a shell as, so it's a different thing. So which one did you do? Yes, I did. That was my problem. Yeah, let me know which one, or if you've solved the problem. But if you run the script, assuming you said you ran the script, then you wouldn't be asking you for a password unless you're trying to log in to it. That makes sense. Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to explain more. I just, yeah, like I said, if you run the script, do the commands like that, then it should work for you. All right, let's go back to this. I'll share my Twitter real quick. I did a tweet last night about this, which should probably be useful. So you guys like my thumbnails? I've gotten really good at thumbnails. I never thought I'd be, not bragging on myself or anything, but I never thought I would even be good at any kind of art, like stuff like that. But once you do about 1,300 thumbnails, you start getting okay at it. It's harder to create bad ones. I'll say that. It becomes harder to create those. So, all right. Yeah, so this one. What are the actual nonfiction? Again, this is not the any moment it's coming. I have a feeling. I'm so tingling right now. Like, no, this is not the Hopium channel. It's not the Hopium account. What are the actual nonfiction indicators for PulseChain launch? And if you search RHMax indicators, I've talked about in depth. I've did videos on like 4 different indicators I've talked about before. These are all on there. I just added a few different ones. But hex LP being pulled, DNS, new subdomains, new certificates being issued, other kind of public DevOps signals, because this stuff doesn't all happen at once. It is a process. So if it's a process, then if you're looking for certain stuff that's publicly available information, then you can tell like, hey, something's getting closer or not, instead of just this tingling feeling and just watching Arch's Twitter and trying to read into everything he says and all that. And then there's stuff that shows you if the RPC services and stuff are online for mainnet. So you can take a look at those. Limit orders on PulseX, like if we have those, I mean, that would probably be a signal as well that PulseX is done and we're good to go. If you really see something from GitLab, not just like, oh, there's what was the thing, stable release coming. To me, that doesn't really mean much. That just means like, hey, we're preparing for it. But they've been preparing for it for like a month now, right? Or 6 weeks. So to me, that's not a high signal. Something that would be a high signal is like, I don't know, a new version of the client's coming out that's like final release, or I'm trying to think what would make me say, oh, that's interesting for the GitLab. Probably that. No, actually quietness from the GitLab. Like there's no more bugs getting fixed, no more releases of clients. Quietness actually might be a signal as well. I'm like, okay, there's nothing else to fix. So that'd be good. And then Ari's tweeting, how should I live stream? I think we all go bananas if that happened. And then again, validators go burr. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was talking about. If you see quietness, that could be a sign as well. So all the stuff, like I said, I have videos on. Search RHMax indicators. You can see more about that, different LP conversations and otherwise. But that is the non-hopium indicators. That is the, don't make yourself not sleep because somebody tweeted that mainnet may be close, because unless they actually cite why, a reference, a link, some sort of like actual substance information, then they could just be guessing. And I don't like to get excited about people guessing, because you just be on Twitter all day seeing people guessing. Anyways, gonna wrap up here in just a second, everyone. I'll say out to the chat one more time. Hope you all enjoyed this AMA and you got something useful out of it. So I'm about to head off. What's up, Duke? Welcome. Alex Santos. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Rebel and Black. It is the best community ever. Best product, best community, best founder. We are the best. Yay, went through. Congrats, Claudio. I know it can be frustrating. I spent a lot of time being frustrated myself before I was able to like synthesize this information where it's repeatable and can help people. So I went through a lot of pain to get to this part where I can actually help others. So I understand you. I understand the frustration. Create the keys on a separate machine. Cool. After that, I tried to do the sudo. Yeah, didn't work. So I created folder FTP software called Node. I hope you're doing this in the right order. So these commands, once you copy them over to the server, then once you copy them over, to your server, then in your home directory or wherever they are, then you copy them to the Node home directory. And then you fix the permissions. And then you start a shell as a Node user to import them. So, but it sounds like you figured it out. There it shows it didn't find my lighthouse, stopped only error, assume it was a key problem. Didn't find lighthouse. Again, make sure you're running Ubuntu 22.04 and you ran the setup script. I don't know how it wouldn't find lighthouse if you follow the commands exactly. If you follow these commands exactly, I don't know how it would not. So again, you copy the validator keys folder from wherever you created it onto the server. It could be in your home folder for your server user. It could be whatever, not the node. It doesn't have to be a home node. This is before home node. So forget that You copy it over to wherever you are, and then you got to have your shell in the directory of where your validator keys folder is. If not, this is a relative folder name. An absolute name is like this, or like this. So you got to be in the same directory as where your keys are. And then you copy them to this directory. So you run this command. If you are in the same directory, if your shell is in the same directory as where your validator keys folder is that you copied, this command will work 100%. But it has to be in the same directory. I think that's what I've had people miss that before. You have to have your shell. You have to, your current directory. Type in this. Type in PMW. And then do an LS. And if you do an LS, let me do it here. If you do an LS and you don't see validator keys, if you do not see validator keys, if you do not see this in where your current directory is, then the copy is not going to work. The folder has to be in the directory. So let me just make it. So if you do an LS and you do not see validator keys, this command will not work, because this command says, with super user privileges, copy the entire folder and everything in it of this directory that is where I'm at. It is right in front of me. It is in the folder that I'm in. My working directory is where this is. Now, obviously, this is not going to be the same, but if you do an LS and you don't see this, then the command's not going to work. You have to see that. So make sure it's in the directory where you're at. And then this will work. And then everything else will work, but that's the first thing you got to make sure. So I think that could be your problem. Hopefully it is. Grant Alderman, have I got here too late to set up a validator? You can hit the replay button, and I'll post a clip probably later today on it as well. But yeah, we basically went through from start to finish everything but a literal me typing commands demo. I typed a lot of commands, but they were on a virtual server. Oh, good. Okay. No worries. Again, happy to, I want to make sure you get it, because I think that's to me, it's, just kind of automatic, but yeah, you're helping me like explain concepts that a lot of people may not understand. So it's a good question. You're making me dig deeper to explain this, which I think would be helpful for other people as well. So thank you for that. Quick question. Why would I run a node if I'm getting paid test tokens? Sure, I want to help out because you're practicing. Yeah, like nobody's running this to be profitable right now, because TPLS and every other testnet coin is not worth anything. So you're running this so when you do want to do it in mainnet, you're prepared, you're ready to go. You're not going to mess it up. You don't want to be getting penalized and losing fees and trying to like beg people for help and like, you're going to be really frustrated when you're losing actual money. So the ideal is, it's a good question. The ideal is you get all the kinks, you work all the kinks out, you get all the frustration out, you get all your practice out on testnet. And when mainnet comes, smooth sailing, good to go. But there you go. Big GZ, late for stream, go back over. Thank you, Big GZ. Appreciate it as well. Everyone, thank you very much. I am done for the day, and I'm seriously not going to stream the rest of the weekend because I'm tired. I said I wasn't going to stream. I said this last stream yesterday, but I feel like this can help people. I want to get it out there. I want to make sure the content is there. Everyone understands start to finish. I know I hadn't did that exactly before. I had the new scripts I wanted to talk about, hopefully educational. And Grant, there's a hardware section on the site. I'll drop the link in one more time. Go here, check out the hardware section. I got briefly tells you what you need there as well. Alex Santos, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Appreciate the frog. The frog's on fire. I like it. Manny, thank you very much as well. Astro369. I know. I'm telling you, these questions, it helps me dig deeper and like actually get better explanations too. So yeah, thanks everyone. I appreciate it. With that being said, have a great rest of your weekend. Good luck in your validators. Scivive and 5555. We are out, everyone.